Hi there and welcome to today's video. If you've been following me on either Twitter or Instagram over the last few months, you'll know that I've set up a petition to ask State of Emo to return to its once vegan formula. It's a real shame that they've felt the need to introduce animal materials into their product, but you know, it's really unfortunate. I've set up the petition. I'll link it below that you're very welcome to go and sign and share. I don't know how useful it will be, as they've already contacted me to say that they've no plans to go back to their vegan formula, which is a real shame. So I've recently been researching other polymer clay brands to see if there are any vegan alternatives out there, and I'm pleased to say there are. There's two that I've come across. One is Cernit's, which is really difficult to get hold of in the UK, so I've not been able to order any in as yet. We'll try at some point though, because it's probably worthwhile just to have a go. But I've ordered in some KATO clay recently, so I'm just really interested to see how that will work. So I'll share my thoughts with you today on that. The email that I had from Van Aken, which is the makers of KATO, have assured me that to the absolute best of their knowledge that their products are vegan, which is good enough for me. So yeah, let's go and have a play. One thing I will say just before we move on is that I live in a village and we're in the middle of summer at the moment, which means there's loads and loads of tractors on the road, so I will try and lessen any background noise, as you'll hear one here, though apologies if there are any distractions. So yeah, on we go. Okay, so here are my selection of KATO clays that I ordered from Clay Around in the UK. It seems to be the only place I've been able to find that sells KATO clay, and this little lot came to about £8. So we've got an orange, a green and a little selection of neutral colours. White, beige, brown and black. My first thoughts on opening the products is the smell, and I had heard this about KATO clay before, that it smells almost like new dolls, so it's not offensive. I think it's almost quite nice in its own way. So yeah, I think it's something that would probably take a little getting used to, and I wonder how it will bake actually, because obviously using Fimo before that absolutely stinks when it's being baked, so I imagine this is pretty much the same, although in a different kind of way. So I've decided I'll make just a little pumpkin, because that lends itself to the colours that I've ordered in here. They're really nice vibrant colours, as most brands of polymer clay seem to be, so yeah, pretty pleased with that. It's quite a hard clay, I've noticed, certainly compared to Fimo, which is pretty hard in itself. So it's really warm in the studio today because we're having quite a lot of nice weather here in the UK for once, so it's really warm and humid, so the clay isn't actually too bad, but I do wonder what it will be like in colder temperatures, because it can kind of be quite hard work on your hands. So yeah, I might do kind of a follow-up which might be quite interesting during some colder weather. What I will say is that the clay itself needs to be rolled pretty flat before you put it through your pasta machine. I found in the past that you can always force Fimo through and it will go through the pasta machine sort of fairly easily, but certainly with this clay I think you need to ensure that it's pretty flat before it goes through. And here I'm just adding in a little green shoot just to the top. It's quite a nice clay to work with. I much prefer like a harder clay to a softer clay any day of the week really. I find it's easier to kind of keep definition while you're working, particularly if you've got kind of warmer hands, as I often have. So it's nice just to be able for the clay to hold on to that bit of definition there. And I think this little one's now ready for baking. I have got a tutorial actually on my channel if you want to make one of these pumpkins. It was made like a year or two ago, so I'll link to that below if you're interested. So I just need to sort out the baking instructions here. I think that was 150 degrees for anywhere between 10 to 30 minutes. So I've got to do 30 minutes at 150 degrees centigrade just to see how that works. And here's a little pumpkin out the oven. It's cooled down. One of the first things that strike me actually is how kind of hard the clay is, which is really great, even before it's sort of cooled down properly, because it's still got a little bit of heat in this. It's still very solid actually, which is a good indicator, I'd say. I've heard really good things about KATO being strong. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with the results here. As I mentioned earlier, I was a little concerned as to how the product might smell while it was baking, and yeah, it was pretty pungent, but you know, regardless of what polymer clay brand you've got going on, you need to ensure you've got good ventilation, so that was no surprise. But yeah, overall really pleased and look forward to working with KATO some more. Thanks very much for watching today. I hope to be back really soon. One thing I will mention is that I've removed some of my videos that I uploaded recently just because I was a little too kind to Fimo. I think I was kind of almost recommending them, and I don't want to do that, so it's not something that I want to recommend. I'd rather look at sort of cruelty-free alternatives, certainly in the long-term future anyway. So I'll try and see if I can find any of the raw files for those just to kind of re-edit them. So unfortunately it's not a huge priority because I've lots on at the moment, but we'll just see how that goes. But anyway, hope to be back soon. Bye bye.